Hey, so today in this video, I'm going to share a few ways to overcome the daunting, overwhelming feeling of writing a book. And if you do just a few things that I'm going to show you today, it's guaranteed to alleviate that feeling. So, but before we start, this is day 2 of 12 days to publish. I'm doing 12 video series. If you haven't watched the first video, go ahead and watch that one again. But before I share a couple of the first 2 things to do to start writing your book to overcome that feeling, I just want to share a couple things with you. So I like my books skinny. Okay, I like thin books. I like a book that I can pick up and devour in 20 minutes or an hour or in a day. I love big books too. I mean, I'm a book hoarder. I'll probably get around to showing you all my books. I have so many. I have books in every room. I'm like that girl, okay? But, you know, one of my favorite books, I have big fat books, skinny books, thin books, little books, big books. I have books everywhere. But I love this book. I mean, you know, best-selling author Tim Ferriss, Tools of Titans. But look, I mean, it's going to take me 10 years to get through this book. It's great. I mean, I've got bookmarks, but you know, I love a book, an actionable book that I can tear through. So that's how I wrote my first book. So when you're writing your first book, okay, it's your first book, guys. It doesn't have to be the one that you're remembered for, you know, for life, or your, you know, it doesn't even have to be your first best-selling book. It just has to be your first. But for my first book, I mean, it's only like 41 pages, but it doesn't matter. The point is, you know, you pick up this book, you do what's in its book, and you get results. You know, my friend Charlotte, when I just, you know, I was just handing out free copies to friends and, you know, sending it to friends. And when she said, "Oh my God, Irene, I did everything in your book and I dropped 2 dress sizes," she said, "I am so happy being back in a size 6 again." Like, it just, like, I can't even tell you like how great it made me feel that it helped her. So it doesn't matter how big your book is. What matters is that your book solves a problem and that it helps people. Okay, so look at it. It doesn't even have a spine. I mean, if it's at least 100 pages, you get that spine, you know, where it says, you know, on the spine. And so that's kind of cool for the library or the bookstore. But the point is, it's your first book. So just get it done and get it out there. And you can always write a sequel. You can always keep writing your big book or the novel or whatever else you're working on. And I love to share this story too, The Strangest Secret. This was actually an audio recording that was transcribed into a book. And this is like still like one of the top selling books, like for I don't know how many years. I remember the first one was published. I don't want to get my dates wrong, but this book has been selling for years. And it's, look how, it's just a 40-page book. And it's great. The message is great. So to get over that overwhelming feeling, like it doesn't have to be a novel. It doesn't have to be 1,000 pages. It doesn't have to be, you know, 20, 30 chapters. It just has to solve a problem. Okay, so hopefully that will help. But your very, very first steps, this is what I do when I'm starting a new book, and I've done it well over a dozen times. I don't even know how many books I've written. I've lost track, so many. I only have 1 published. Coming up, publishing at least 1 or 2 by the end of this year. At least 1 more. But over this next year, I'm going to try to publish 1 a month. I have to get those books out there. They're you know, some of them I use as lead magnets or for different purposes. I have different plans for them, different niches. But this is a very simple strategy that's going to help you start writing your book and help you overcome the overwhelming, daunting feeling of writing your first book. So, I want you to take a blank piece of paper and a pen or a pencil. Now, this may be old school for some of you. You know, I remember I was jotting down a note one day in a bar. My girlfriend was telling me about some yoga or something. And she's like, "Don't you use notes?" laughing at me because I pulled out a pen out of my purse. I love paper and pen, and old school copywriters still use paper and pen, and I love to write things down. I've got notes and papers and boxes with little notes and swiped files and all kinds of cool things, and whatever. If you want to do it in your notes or computer, that's fine, but I recommend a piece of paper where you can just jot down all your ideas. Just do what's called a brain dump and just write down all the ideas for your book and what you think should go in your book. Once you do that, and I say commit to at least half an hour, but you'll find once you get started, you'll probably get into it, and at least block out an hour with no distractions to try to get this done. And then once you do that, there's something I learned, and I think, and I'm not 100% sure, I think I learned this from Jack Canfield, author of Chicken Soup for the Soul. He called it the Chinese menu method, and I realized it's what I had been doing all along. I just never had a name for it. Well, I call it the pizza menu method because I love Chinese food, but we eat a lot of pizza. And I've got pizza menu. Look, this is how much pizza we order. But it's the same concept because you have categories. You want to take all your ideas and you want to then group them into categories. Like we have pizza, we have subs, we have salads. So it's the same thing where you're going to take your ideas and put them into different categories, and now you're forming your outline for your book. And once you do that, you're going to be like, wow, this really wasn't that daunting after all. So do that exercise, do it now, do it today, and then you'll just feel like this weight is lifted off, and like, I really can do this in a few weeks. It doesn't have to be this huge book. It doesn't have to be a big deal. And in the next video, I'm going to share with you how to find great content for your book if you don't already have it. And I'm going to show you great content. Oh, yeah, this is so important. So if you haven't heard of what a unique selling proposition is, basically I'm going to show you how to create your own unique selling proposition. And let me try to give you an example. So in my upcoming course, okay, Blank Page to Published, one of my unique selling propositions is that, well, not only am I a copywriter and marketer, so I'm going to teach you how to market it, but the most important thing on how to market your book is to get into the media. Getting free media coverage is kind of my superpower. After I published my first book, before I published it, I started a blog and I was trying to get on the radio, and I was getting interviews, right? At least one a week or so, but they weren't, big interviews, like not millions of people or live radio. They were little podcasts, and don't ever discount them because as long as it's your target audience, it's more important than having a vast audience who people don't really care about what you're talking about. Also, you never know if that podcast or that show is going to blow up, and, just like you binge watch on Netflix, if someone gets hooked on a podcast, they'll start binge listening all the way to the early podcast. So if you're on there, this could bring you potential clients or business or customers for years to come. So never discount those smaller shows, okay? And I never did either. But I wanted both. I wanted to also get, on bigger and better shows. So once I published my book, it became so easy to get on the radio, to get interviews. I was going on, 1 to 5 a week. It was getting crazy. Like, it was too much where I had to limit to 2 or 3. But only 2 months after I published my first book, I was asked to become the health and fitness expert on an award-winning radio show, The Queen Sylvie Show, where I went live as the health and fitness expert in front of millions of listeners every month. So that's the impact that writing your first book can have. It was just a little 40-page book, but it solves a problem. Okay, it's a great book. So that's the point. As long as you study your market, you know who you're writing for. If you don't know about studying your market, go back and listen to video 1 in 12 Days to Publish, and it's all about helping people and solving a problem. So as long as your book does that, you're good to go. So keep watching. The next video, I'm going to show you how to create your unique selling proposition, how to find great content, and content that maybe nobody's using before, that can really help serve your audience and maybe solve a problem that they're still trying to find an answer for. So in the next video, that's what we'll be talking about. In the meantime, did I mention? I really want a Peloton. Anyway, so watch the next video. If you want 5 of my top secrets to write and publish your first book fast, I offer a free video training. I'm going to put the link right down below on my page. If you like this video, go ahead and subscribe. I don't know, the video experts say tell you what to do. Others say don't tell people to subscribe. But if you want to subscribe, if you want to hear about the next video that I post, go ahead and click that little subscribe and that little bell, and you'll get a notification when I put up the next video in 12 days to publish. And we'll be talking to you soon.